Standard agenda for today: read a text, multiple choice, open response, journal. The text for today is a really quick, brief story from Aesop's Fables. Aesop was a storyteller from over 2,500 years ago, and his stories have survived all the way until today and have had a really big impact on storytelling culture in general. Um, the stories are famous for having sort of a moral or a lesson that they teach you by reading them. A few of the famous stories from Aesop's fables that you may have heard of are The Tortoise and the Hare and The Boy Who Cried Wolf. The one we're going to read today is called The Crow and the Pitcher. So there's going to be a crow who's trying to drink from a pitcher of water. Um, as you read it, you want to think about what conflict is this crow facing? What problem is he trying to solve? How does he go about solving that problem? And perhaps most importantly, what lesson or moral does the author want to teach us in this story? Again, you're going to have a couple of footnotes um, that you can follow as you read the text to help you define unfamiliar words. So remember that when you're using the footnotes, there's a tiny little number next to a word. That same tiny little number will be in the notes section at the very bottom of your text. So you scroll down to the bottom, look up what that word means in the notes, and then go right back to that word and continue from where you were reading. An extra word to know for the story today is pebbles. Pebbles are really small, tiny rocks. Some strategies as you are reading if you come across other unfamiliar words. First one is use your context clues, right? And what that means is to use all the words around the word you're not sure about to figure out what that word means. My example here is I zorned over the fence, right? Obviously zorned is not a word in the English language, but by reading this little phrase, we can actually figure out its definition pretty easily, right? If we eliminate that word we don't know, zorned, and substitute a word we do know in its place that would make sense, for example, I jumped over the fence, or I hopped over the fence, right? Then we have a pretty good guess for what that word zorned actually means, jumped or hopped. Another strategy is to break down the word, right? Words often come in parts, and each part has its own meaning. The example here, unbelievable, the prefix un, which means not, the word believe in the middle, which means to think something is true, and able, which means like you can do something, right? So if you put it all together, not able to believe something, like I can't think that thing is true, then we've put all those puzzle pieces together. And the last tool is your dictionary, right? Either English to English or English to Spanish, whatever you find more helpful. Today's multiple choice question types. You're going to be asked to figure out the meaning of a word in the context of the story. So use your clues around the word to figure out what that word might mean. You'll be asked to provide evidence to support your answer to a prior question. So picking out a line from the text or a detail from the text that proves your answer was true. There's a question about characterization. So figuring out, based on how a character speaks or thinks or acts or responds, what their personality traits or character traits may be. And finally, analyzing the significance of an event to the overall plot of the story. Strategies for answering multiple choice. We've gone over these, but a quick run through again. Step one, you want to break down the question, really identify very precisely exactly what the question is asking you and what the answer will have to provide in terms of information to completely answer the question correctly. Once you know exactly what the question's asking and what you're looking for, a lot of times you won't know the right answer right away, but you will be able to identify one or two answers that are clearly wrong. This step of eliminating clearly wrong answers is called slash the trash. Once you've narrowed your options down to a couple, you want to look for answers that are distracting because they're partially correct, but not completely correct. Maybe the prompt is asking you to identify two things and it identifies one of them correctly. Once you've labeled distractors, you can choose the best answer, and that will often get you a really strong performance on multiple choice. Your open response prompt is asking you, how does the author use the words, then an idea came to him, to develop the theme to never give up? To be successful on this prompt, you're going to have to write one short teak paragraph, right? So topic, sentence, evidence, elaboration, conclusion, as you see in the tracker on the right. To be successful on this prompt, you want to start out with a topic sentence. You build a strong one by looking at the prompt and removing any question words or symbols that you see. That question will then become a statement. Once you have that statement, that's kind of your sentence stem. When you add an answer to that statement, you've created a complete topic sentence. As always, you want to support your topic sentence with really strong evidence that proves your claim and that you make in the topic sentence is correct. Once you support it with evidence, you want to elaborate on exactly how that evidence connects back to your claim. And then finally, summarize your argument with a strong conclusion sentence.